Yes, please. Okay.
Yes.
First of all, I would like to.
No, I'd like to speak a few words before you start.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah. Most distinguished speaker for the day, Professor Pedro Carvalho from Portugal. Beatrix, Merlin, Mariam, Dr. G. Kishore, our principal, sir, invited guests, and my dear participants. It's a proud moment for us where we have a very distinguished personality, Pedro Carvalho from Portugal, who is a researcher at the Research Center, CIDEST, as PhD in economics, participating in various projects with different groups and institutions. His research interests focus in the field of applied and comparative studies in sport economics and sport management, the impact assessment of sporting events, and the definition of public policies on sport and health, having published several articles in peer-reviewed journals, as well as some book chapters and books. He is a member of the Executive Council of ICSPE, ICSSPE, International Council of Sports Science and Physical Education. He is the president of ISCPES, International Society of Comparative Studies of Physical Education and Sport, from the year 2017 to 2021. So his research interests include comparative studies, applied economics in sport, social network analysis, public policy, regional development, organizational coaching, and comparative studies in sport. On behalf of the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports, Government of India, Khelo India, Sports Authority of India, lectured by National College of Physical Education, and on behalf of our principal, Dr. G. Kishore, and all the participants, a warm welcome to our most distinguished speaker, Pedro Carvalho. I also welcome the eminent personalities as past panelists. We have Beatrix, who would be one of our speakers. Merlin, warm welcome to you. And we also have Madam Mariam with us, who will be having a session tomorrow. A warm welcome to you. I also welcome our principal, Dr. G. Kishore. I welcome all the distinguished invited guests who are attending this program, and all my dear friends. Once again, a warm welcome to the PE Physical Education and Community Coaching Program. So Pedro, for the session, please. Pedro, you could start the session, please.
Okay. Are you listening well?
Yeah.
All of you?
Yeah.
So, first of all, I must welcome all of you. And from Portugal, a shiny day at 12:30 here, which means lunchtime. I would like to specially thank Dr. Usha, who has the patience to bear with all my complications during this pre-session. Dr. Rosa, who played as my manager, she was my manager. She sold me saying that I was an expert. Dr. Darlene Kluka, my colleague also, and she introduced me to this international business. So I must thank her being here. Of course, to Sports Authority of India, is it Mias Goy? Okay. Mias Goy? Mias Goy? Okay. Who organized the event. So I really don't know if I'm an expert, and less than that, an international expert. Maybe I'm a Portuguese expert. That's not bad. So my theme, as I told Dr. Usha, He's been for 5 years now looking at the impact of sports in economics, in economy, and in economics development. That's why I choose this theme. And I mean, the first question is it really important for coaches to know something about this? Or is it coaches have to train, have to coach, and they don't need to know anything about the economics of the thing? Is it okay?
Yeah.
So I would like to change my presentation, but it doesn't go. How should I? No, okay. Okay. So also I'm an active, actual president of this International Society for Comparative Studies, which started 78 years ago, in 78, so 42 years ago. It started in Israel with people from all over the world. When physical education teachers try to compare the systems among the countries. So that's how this starts. And it has been a peak till the 90s. And then from the 90s now till now, it has been decreasing its importance. And all of the former contributors, they start going to other institutions more specialized. So comparative studies are nowadays very difficult to do, and we are trying to push them again forward. You have here, and I'll give you the presentation. You have the site and the Facebook from this institution, so you can know anything else more. Okay, very shortly. I want to do a personal presentation because it's important, not the CV, but other things. What is the background of this issue of economic impacts? Questions that we need to answer, the methods we use, the results, and some implications for coaches. So my first question is, will I be an international expert? I don't know, but I was born in Oporto, northern town in Portugal. I'm the fourth of 5 male brothers, so my parents just have males, which is horrible because we never had any woman to talk about. And I was lucky to be orphaned only when I was 58 years, which means they long lived till the 85 years old. Let's hope I can continue them. What I was an average regular student, which was graded in 14 in 20, which for me is the best place to be. All the students that I have with 18, 19, they were crazy. And all of those that have less than this, they were very bad students. So I mean, 14, 15 people that have lots of skill people, and that's why I'm gonna tell you my sports past. I was a soccer goalkeeper with 16 years old. I was a volleyball setter with my 17, 18, and I left football. I was referee and volleyball coach. And I think the reasons that I follow this was because I have these 3 characteristics, personal characteristics, which I was low, so I couldn't be more than a setter, which I was quick to think, that's true, and I have the collective sense, which means that I like to be in group and to be together with other people. I don't like to travel alone. I don't like to be alone in my life. As a organizational background, which is also important, I was a student leader for the association. I was union consultant. I was high school administrator, director of teacher training, director of the university department of sports science. And you must think that I'm an economist. I'm not, my background is not in physical education or sports science. And I was elected president of the Faculty of Social and Human Sciences of my university. And that's where I came to a member of the executive board of ICSPE with Darlene and Rosa, and actually president of ICSPE. Why I think this is important? Because the last sentence here says everything. If I don't know my human resources, I will never be able to coach or teach or organize or lead an organization. So knowing the story of each employee allows the leader to identify the main skills, mainly for the times of crisis like we are nowadays, okay? So knowing our collaborators is the most important task for coaches. That's what I think, and that's my starting point. Okay, now let's go in the subject. Is it okay till now, Narendra? Professor Narendra?
Yeah, please.
Is it okay? Is it okay till now?
You can speak a bit louder.
Yeah.
A bit more louder, please. Thank you.
Okay. So the background of this issue that I started thinking about started in Finland during the called 1000 Lakes rally. That was very important. And they wanted to know at the University of Jyväskylä, I have friends over there, and they wanted to know the economic impact of that because they want to sell the rally to a big enterprise to sponsor it. But they only have sports scientists, sociologists, but they didn't have an economist, and so they invited me to go there. My pleasure. So my first, let me see if it works now. Can you see this?
Yeah.
Okay. The first model that we start with was a model from 2014, so relatively new. And let me see if I can put my laser over here. Yes, you see the laser?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the community where we are in, which was Jyväskylä in our case, but it can be replicated in wherever you want. So you have the positive people that brings money, that are those that stay in the community during the event, and those that come to visit the community because of the event. In this case was a match, but it can be a rally or Olympics or whatever we want to study. These are the inhabitants, and they have some people that don't like this kind of events, so they go away during the event. So they are negative flows from the country, so they cannot be considered a positive impact, is a negative one. And then they are neutral people that are casuals. They were there because they were there. They were passing through Lisbon and they attended a game, but they were not going there because of the game. They were casuals, like the time switchers, people that were going and back and forward during the event. So this was the model, very simple, made by Oneka and Proust, which is a German guy. And I started in Portugal with the National Federation of Swimming. The actual president is there for 2 mandates, so he's already on the 8th mandate. He's a very clever and forward guy. He's a very international one. He's also a sports scientist and a full professor at the university. But he's been caring for the National Federation, and he brings the federation from the last position to the second one in Portugal after football. So only football is a bigger federation than swimming, which is incredible because we have more than 30 federations and swimming was the 14th or something like that. Because he thinks positively to the future. And he has some questions that we speak about in a lunch. This was not an professional invitation. This was a lunch. And he said, you know, Pedro, I'm not an economist, but I would like to know, because some people in the General Assembly criticize us because we are spending too much money with our competitions. And we are spending money because we are going around. We don't concentrate all the competitions in Porto or Lisbon. We are going all over around the world, the country, trying to develop the sport, in this case, swimming. Do you think we are doing all right? I need to respond to this criticism. Can you help me? This was the starting point. The second was the kind of development rationale. He wanted to have a rationale to develop swimming. And he says competitions. And I was like, okay, this is from me because I studied urban economics and regional economics, so I can help you. And finally, I want to have a more strong lobby with the government. The political asset means how much do our competitions contribute to the GDP? Can you give me a number? So these are 3 questions that are terrible, but as you can see, are very important for coaches, because coaches are linked together with this. How should they develop? Should they concentrate everything in 2 or 3 big swimming pools, Olympic size, or should they disperse for all over the country, trying to go to schools, high schools, secondary schools, children's schools, trying to develop the program they have now is everybody needs to swim. And now they have a new project because of this rationale and this study. So that's why I think this was worthy. For those who still don't believe on the sport's strength, I put in the middle here, as you can see, here, okay. This is a new complex industry or not? Look at the figures here. This is from pandemic. This came from United Nations and European Union. They make a very recent study, economic impact of COVID on sports. Look at this, basketball and baseball, $5.5 billion impact just for the pandemic. Here, baseball around the world, soccer or football in different countries. And see, gymnastics and Olympics, 6 billion loss from this pandemic. This is a bunch of money. If you look here, to the different Bundesliga or different leagues of football, the same pattern. And the main one is this one here. The big size is on sports retail and infrastructure, food, beverage, and betting. So these are four important domains with the sports retail that account for 470 billion. And then it comes the sports professional, and then the clubs and gyms and all the fees that people pay on the volunteering clubs or volunteering sports. So this is very high, this has a very high impact on the economy, as you can see. Okay, it doesn't go, why? So sport events, now I'm going through very quickly because I want to go to the results. What do we economists look at when we are looking at measuring impacts? I know that lots of people don't like economists because they are very boring with numbers. But the numbers are actually the main measure of is it worthy or not for the economy? Are we spending too much or not? So we have to have measurings, like we have to measure how many the volleyball setter jump or how many the football keeper can get in height of his hands. So it has to have measures. Economics too. What do we measure? Employment, growth, and new financing flows. Okay? Because nowadays, another thing that adds to the importance of sports is that finally medicine now accepts that physical exercise and activity are a very important complementary prescription to chemicals and to pills and to medicine. So how much can they save to the country if people do well organized sport or physical activity? And this is something that nobody knows because it's very difficult to play against the lobby of the chemicals and the pharmacy. They want to sell pharmacy. They want to sell pills. But now they are convinced, for lots of sports scientists that have made very good effort, that sports and physical activity, maybe it will save money. It's not a spending, it's an investment. Okay, so we did also a very long survey on different studies. They are here. I don't want to bother with those. I just want to point this here. The multiplier effect is something that in an economic study is usually pointed as the very important indicator. How much can this be good? Okay, like when we do blood analysis, we have the tests and we have the normality of those tests. How much sugar should I have in my blood? Okay, less than 115, between 85, 115, okay? And in economics, we have the called multiplier effect, which, just to you get known with this, usually we see less than 2 or 2.5 is very good. Above 2.5, usually they are not credible. And 28.8 is absolutely impossible. So all these studies were made to present to our government, saying our money, because they did the study of the impact, and 28.8 would be the investment, which is absolutely crazy. This means they say to the government, see, if you invest 3.5 million, you will get more than 100 million. Impossible. This is fake news. But to say this is a fake news, you have to study and make a study, which is very difficult. Now, in European Football Championship, well, it was a little bit better. 964 million invested generated 440. Okay, this is a 0.5 effect. Okay, is a normal and good impact. It makes for each 100 you receive or generate 50, which is good. So I'm going to skip this because this is on the presentation. Good for sports, for traveling, to raise the national pride, to improve the local economy, job creation, business development, city image, etc., etc. But this is not our main goal. I just put it here because there are a lot of studies trying to fundament the importance, the economic importance of these studies and sports. In our study, we also put our sociological part, which is a very important one for development. Because we think that when well managed, local partnerships and the sport events coordination are able to promote more dense social networks, connecting local people to the event, improving the chances for benefits and of local firms. This was proved in Gothenburg Athletics European Championship in 2010. I've been there, and it's amazing to see that city all around the European Championship of Athletics, nothing else, was not the Olympics, was not football, athletics, with thousands and thousands of people in the streets that visited Gothenburg, but they did not make the study. You know, we just could see it, but we don't know how much it gained. So that's why Pross said there's a huge disparity on the results. Mostly this slide is only to put our eyes on this. Event impacts are mainly measured by consumption. How many people was there? How do they spend their money? And then we can make an approximation of how many dollars or euros or whatever currency did we manage to generate. This is another thing I'm gonna go through because I'm doing too long. And we came to this figure that I think you should look at it with very calm in your home, because this came from a guy that is not an economist. He's an agriculture man that invented, I think it was in Scotland in 29 or 20 something, the Strawberry Festival. And he wanted to make lobby in the European Union to get some money to support this event. And this is a very interesting thing that you can replace here. Strawberry Festival. to canoeing in the river Mississippi, or whatever you can do in India, okay? Whatever you can do in Japan, whatever you can do in a small country like Luxembourg, or you can do in a big country like South Africa. And you put it here and try to build this kind of figure. And there you have all the condiments, have all the dish to present to your politicians. How much can we do with different sports or with a sport to improve our economy? So this is a very important picture for you all, I think, as coaches or managers of clubs or whatever. This is a very important picture. Okay, other good positive arguments go for tourism and bibliography. I have it a lot. So the major events, I have here one, I would like to share this. Let me see what is going on here. Okay. Okay. This was published on 2019 in a magazine, and this is the economic impact. So if you go there on the net, you can look at all the paper, and you can go through the more details of the methodologies and so on. Now I want to get back, which means I have to close this. Okay. And go to some results. This is in English. I think you can read it better than me. It's a little bit dense, but these are all the conclusions that we present to the politicians. And we can see here, if we look at the amounts, this is what the Federation invested, almost 200,000 euros. Then the delegations that came to the competition spent about this, 776. Then the attendance, 1 million. And all the sum was 2 million, okay? We found that for each euro, the organizers, there was a multiplier effect of 9, which means that investing this, you can get 9 times more for the whole economy. This other impact is also important because this was organized in a Madeira Island. Madeira Island is an island, of course, Portugal, but they live from tourism. They never had big events, and they start to try one thing that was, are we going to concentrate a big event? Yes, let's try it. So this was a big event concentrated in Ireland. So every delegation had to move to go there to compete, to swim and to compete. Okay. So look at the results, multiplier effect, is a kind of 11, which means it's better the multiplier effect when it is concentrated than when it is dispersed by the country like 9. Does that mean that we should not make dispersion of competitions? No, because there's a positive effect. Although in an international case, we have bigger numbers, okay, which is normal. Foreign people have to spend more money than national people. So this is the national amount of multiplier, and this is the international one. I don't know if this is clear for you. Usha, Dr. Usha. Now,
Just unmuted.
these things
Yeah.
that are going down here are almost the same thing,
Okay.
but they are explained because I thought that people that don't listen to me very carefully, or if I'm not a very native speaker, you have the text of what I said all around this. And then at the end, I just have the conclusion, the big conclusion of these studies is that sport is one of the best activities to reach a huge majority of other economic sectors. This is very important to know this for coaches, I think, and for other people. Now, I would like just to go here and see if I can share with you. No, I'm not there. Okay. This is the main thing. So if you want to do some questions or ask things, depending on your interest, I can go forward with the tables, the calculus, the Excel files, where all these things are made, and I can share with you because now this is published, and this is a methodology that belongs to the international community.
Yeah.
So this was my last 7 years of work in researching. Thank you very much for your attention. I still have something here in my presentation.
You could.
That is not going. You cut it? Can you give it to me? I cannot forward my presentation, and I have 4 more slides.
4 more slides, Naren?
Yeah, just click on that screen, sir.
My screen?
Yeah, your screen. Just click once. Now, it will work now.
Not going.
Not going.
And it was before.
You have the screen with you. Naren, you have the presentation with you.
Yeah, no, it will work. Sir, do one thing, just click on your screen and we'll find the option for the next slide.
Now I'm clicking on my presentation.
Yeah, your presentation.
Let me see. This is it. Okay. It's not going.
Okay.
Still not going. Next slide.
No. This was the slide that I wanted to show you.
Yeah, we can see you. We can see the impact of PT's swimming events.
Impact of, yes.
Yeah, now okay.
Okay.
I know it's okay?
Yeah.
You can see it?
Yes.
Okay. So the 7 years are here. So if you look at, let me point, no. Well, I cannot put here, I don't know why.
Okay, no problems. You can just speak or no issues.
No, I wanted to point my laser and I can't. Okay, doesn't matter. You can see this arrow,
Yeah.
right arrow.
You can see
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Okay, so these are Portuguese regional swimming competitions. These are, yes, these are regional competitions. These were local, these were regional, and these were national. And this was international one, this one, and this one. And so that's how we figure out the impacts and the multiplier effects, you see? All the multiplier effects are here. And you can clearly see that international are higher, always higher than smaller ones. Can you see this one?
Yes, we can
Yeah.
see.
Okay. Maybe it's better you read.
Yeah.
So we went to, you see, 51 euros per night was the expense of each, in average, of course, swimmer. They spend 15 on food, 181 in plane tickets, and 75 in other transport, local transport. So if you have 479 people, it's a pity I can put 479 people, we account for 1,400 per head, okay? 5 days of competition. So for every euro invested by the region, there was 11 in local tourism generated. So that's the way the National Federation convinced the regional government of Madeira to organize other European events. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the political asset of the impact studies is that we convinced, or they convinced, I'm not from the Federation, but I helped on that, to convince, the Federation convinced the government to say, you see, you can earn a lot of money. You can make money for the economy, local economy. And if you think that for each euro you invest, you are going to pay the TVA taxes, okay? All these taxes are going to come back again. So it's another source of income. Indirect, but it's a source of income because some of these millions are going to be charged with taxes. And part of those taxes come back to the government. So this was the kind of rationale that we used. And now, I don't know if this is Indian,
Yeah.
but I look in the internet and they say, yes, it was.
Thank you. This is namaste. Yeah.
Open to whatever you want now.
So, Pedro, it is a wonderful session. It was so good. I think there are a lot of lessons to be learned from. And before we start, Naren, is there any questions you think?
Yeah. Thank you so much for such a knowledgeable and in-depth, informative session by Pedro. Now there are some questions actually, and that participant they just wanted to ask. So shall I take the first question?
Yes?
Yeah. Okay. So that one of the participant he wants to ask that what are the probable economic plans to recover the monetary loss different games? what are the plans you have there?
No, I don't have. I just worked till now. I just worked with Finland on the rallies, and we're going all over the world if you need to. And I just worked with swimming. And I did some trials in Portugal with canoeing and polo, which is swimming, polo, aquatic polo. And motorcycle. Nothing for defend, nothing for individual either than swimming.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Which makes, but it's a good point because it makes a good difference doing that for soccer or football and doing that for cricket or doing that for tennis. The kind of people that are attending is completely different. And that is one of the conclusions of our studies is we cannot enlarge our conclusions because we have to do a socio-demographic study before. So if you want me to do the Olympics for 21, I have to go there now to make some surveys before to the socio-demographic of every kind of sports, so we can have fitting adjustment of the results. Otherwise, it's a mess. It's saying something of my head. I can say, well, it's a bigger impact, and we don't know. Sometimes we think that the European Championship has a big impact higher than the national one. And when you go to details, maybe not.
Okay.
I don't know if I was clear.
Yeah.
Sorry, Narendra.
Naren,
Yeah, now, okay, thank you. Could you please stop sharing your screen so that the people can show you on
you can
Okay.
see you on the screen. You can
Yeah,
stop
yeah.
sharing the screen.
Okay.
Yeah. You can also
Okay.
have panelists.
Now,
Beatrix.
Dr. Usha, please run the meeting because you were better than me. So you did it immediately. Please.
I wanted Beatrix also to be there. I can't see her on the screen. So
This
Naren,
guy here
yeah.
was me with 7.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So,
Long
madam will take.
distance. Long distance.
Long distance. Okay.
Yeah, madam. So we'll take one more question. That is for Pedro. Okay. So the next question is how much negative impact on philosophical aspects of not to win but take part due to the development of sports metric. So
Sorry,
please,
negative.
negative impact on philosophical aspects of
Philosophical,
aspects
such as
of not to win but take part.
You can see a QA section, Pedro.
Yeah, that,
Just open your QA. You can see that.
but
okay.
in question answer box there are questions.
Okay.
So that is
I'm reading.
yeah. Thank you.
Amitabha Gozal, is it?
Yeah, Ghoshal, Amitabha
Okay.
Ghoshal.
Can you tell me how much negative impact on philosophical of not to win but take part due to the development of sports metric? No, we cannot take care of this unless we do it queries during the event. So this for us is out of question to measure this. This must be made by sociologists that have to measure it. And this is a very important question to make the full amount of impact. I just cared about economic impact and some of them on social network density. We found in Madeira that the density of the social networks was huge because in the beginning we measured that. how much do each athlete know other athletes from other clubs or other countries? And we measure at the end. And it's a main city that was a huge benefit for the social networks to create. All of the athletes, they say, oh, now we have friends all over the world, or all over Europe in that case. Because they changed mails, they changed everything because of the championship. And this was accounted for us. But the win part of it, no. We didn't care about the results. The sportive results, we didn't care. I don't know if I...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, Naren, you could explain in Hindi because there's some, maybe you could put that later in translate. All those who are asking in Hindi, we'll translate Hindi and give it to you later, please.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, I think Merlin, could
As
you...
a second.
Merlin, could you speak, please? Merlin, can you hear me?
Eileen?
Yeah, just unmute yourself. Madam Marlene, just unmute yourself so that we can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
great. Yeah, great.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah.
Everyone. Pedro, thank you very much for your presentation. I think that is a great topic to discuss, and it's amazing. Okay, I'm going to point one thing because you told us that of course the physical activity and sport is very important for the economy of a country, no? And this is save money. But from the point of view of the population who practice physical activity and sport, not in high performance, no? To for example, to save money for medicine that you told us. How is the way to convince the society that, of course, if people in general practice, do a sport, the society can save money because it's not necessary to buy medicine and everyone. For example, here in Madrid, we have a pilot project that the doctors, it's a recipe, it's like a recipe, a sports recipe, nice, the name. And is that the doctors take medicine like that to do a sport in a class sport. And it's a pilot project in Spain, but the society, the country, they are expecting the results. And we think that the results will be great because, of course, for the health of people is great. And they don't recipe, of course, a medicine, they recipe a sport. And what do you think about that? Or what do you think about what is the best way to convince the society?
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank
Molly.
you.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. Me too.
Dr. Usha.
Yeah.
I can answer this question and go to your first requirement to me. That was, tell me about something in sport management in your country. Okay, this is the right point to do it. Portugal, not only because of this study, but because of other studies, lots of physical, there's a big fight between the physical educator and sports scientists and the doctors of medicine. And one guy that actually it was my student, and he monitored my diabetes for his PhD. He monitored to take that conclusion. Okay, interval training was the best training for me, and does that my how do you call it? glycemia goes down. And he was sports scientist, PhD. And he has been in my town here at the university to take the medicine natural course. So he did it, the course in medicine. And then he could start speaking the between language, because nobody could say, criticize him, you don't know anything about medicine, or you are not a physical educator or physical sports scientist, you are a doctor. So he did both, and this guy creates a movement in the, let me say, 2008, maybe 2009, was the time that I went to the faculty. And he said, I'm gonna change these things. I'm gonna create a movement called Diabetes in Movement. So he created with a doctor and also was a sport scientist. So both of them, they started the movement where they have the attendance of people with illnesses, diabetes, osteoporosis, cardiovascular, all the kind of diseases. And they have an attendance session, diagnosis session. And then the prescription was made by the sports scientist. So the doctor says to the sports scientist, I need this guy to work at heart, how do you call, pulsation, heart pulsation in 120 or 150, whatever, he said. And the prescription of the exercises was made for him, okay? So they start with a group of 25, and every year they spread it all over the country, for all the hospitals where there was a university with sports science degree and a medicine degree. So nowadays, do you know where is this guy? At the Secretary of State of Health.
Oh, great.
And he's doing something that is amazing. Nowadays, is already implemented, write it in the law, that all the doctors on the first attendance of ill people or people that goes to the not hospital, is we call it here health centers, okay? Health center, he has to have the fulfillment of the query for physical activity. Obligatory.
Obligatory.
So first, they have to start doing exercise, and then they will prescribe other pills. So this is an amount of change in the last 10 years that I thought it was impossible. I said to him, no, you will not get there because doctors are going to be aware of this. Now they are obliged to do that. It was they created a national association for physiologists, and actually they are working with Spain. They are working with Madrid and Barcelona too. Maybe if you check there, they have a common, I can share with you if you gave me your address, mail address, I can share with you the site of these guys. And they have published in Portuguese, Spanish, and English.
Yeah. Can I get Beatrix, please? I'm sorry.
No, this is my experience.
Sure.
Not my experience, the experience in Portugal.
We would never get such information. This platform has given us a learning. So I need to thank you for it. Beatrix, are you there?
Beatrix,
I can't hear you.
Okay.
Now she can.
Yeah, Beatrix. Hi.
How are you?
Your remarks, please.
I'm fine. Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here with you all. Thank you, Dr. Usha. Very nice to see Pedro, Marilyn, Nadran, and Kishore.
Kishore and Maria.
Yeah. Okay. Well, It's a very nice presentation. I think it's very important to see the economy impact on sports. That's something that is new in many countries. And I can see the importance on employment, tourism, and health. And I have some question. If in your index, you see the infrastructure, I mean, how much costs to, like, to have our Olympic Games? You know, it's a big investment of money, you know, and then the output of this investment to the country. One thing that if you have some experience on Paralympic Games, you know, so many times when you have these games, you don't have many people going to watch them. And many times it's for free. And I have been working with a wheelchair dance here in Brazil, and it's for free, you know, to go, for people to go there. We need to convince more a social aspect of the sports that you can see. And also something about the impact of this national, international on local and community. You know, how this importance of these games, the international. I mean, for economy is very important, but what about for the impact on community? If it's possible to talk about it.
Okay,
And thank you.
thank you for the questions, very important questions. Actually, there are already some publications, mainly after the 2012 Olympic Games in London. And then Brazil didn't benefit from that in 2016. But this year, Japan was going to benefit from that. Lots. Because after the 2012, I think that 2012 marks the change between the huge mega events, infrastructure that nobody used it anymore after the games. So it was mostly negative impacts for the local economies and even for the national one because it cost a lot of money. But 2012, it was organized already with this kind of attention. Was constructing new infrastructure of the Olympics. So for instance, one used in soccer, football, we say football, no, I don't like soccer, I like football. Soccer is American invention. So, because they have the American football, so they have to have another name. So, but for us, Europeans and all over the world, we call football. And they make an agreement with the club before the Olympics, so that the club was going to change, instead of doing another infrastructure, was going to move to that new structure after the Olympics, paying, of course, an amount of money to reduce the public investment. And this was done in a lots of things. The swimming pools in China, for instance, they are all used for different things of schools. And the Japanese were going to organize the 2020, now it's 2021, already with all this taken in account. All the structure have to be useful after the games, for the community, for the clubs, for whatever it is. So I think there's people are more aware because of impact studies that said this is an elephant, it's a white elephant. We call it the white elephant because we, in the European Championship in Portugal, only 4 of them are being useful. All the other 4 are empty. There's no club, there's nothing going there unless the national team games because they want to use it. So after 24/5 and the China Olympics, everything was changed And I think nowadays it's not possible to go back again. And if you go to look at the bids for the big events, they are decreasing. No more towns want to bid for a big event. And the next European Championship of football is going to be played in 6 countries, which means that's not the French European Championship or Portuguese European Championship. No, it's European Championship. Lots of countries are going to participate, and then the finals will be somewhere, of course, in one of the countries, but all the games are going to be played, which bring us the new problem is the distance to travel for the teams. One team that is staying in Portugal and has to go to play to Germany is not the same than playing in Portugal, because they are away from and they are training in different fields or whatever. So there are the International Federation, UEFA, is now dealing with this kind of criticism because people want to be close together. But it's much better to do that. For instance, Germany wants to be in Germany and then travel because they have this kind of philosophy of internships. They don't have internships without family, for instance. There are other clubs that they prefer to make internships and the players are without families. So these are kind of complex issues, and holistic approach is needed, not only the economic. But for the economic side, I think mega events are not going any more further than they went till last year. I think people are going because the scientific production was so big, saying there's no big gain for local communities, there's more negative gain, which means negative prejudice. And it's better to do small events all over the town than make a big event on the center of the town. This is published already for several scientists. I don't know if I was clear.
Yeah, yes. And in the Paralympic Games,
Sorry?
I mean, for Paralympic Games, I mean, there is no, the impact of, if you have some studies on economy and Paralympic Games.
Have a completely new strategy. For instance, Japan, they have all the infrastructures were available for para athletes. All of them, and pub attendance, para attendance, which means everyone with difficulty on moving now is not allowed to have the infrastructure approved if they have not the, how do you call it, mobility problem solved. Mobility is very, nowadays, even in Portugal, for small gymnasiums, for small academies, for small, I don't know, pavilion, where there are sports, all the mobility have to be taken care.
Yeah.
So I think this will move forward with development, of course, of the countries.
So thank you, Beatrix. Thank you, Pedro. Mariam, are you there?
Mariam, yes, she's there.
Mariam?
Yes, I'm here.
Could you just, we wanted your views too. You could just speak maybe a few words on what Pedro said.
Yeah. Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here in this session. I really enjoyed Pedro's presentation. Of course, sports management is not my major, but your presentation was so much informative and complete that I enjoyed it. The subject that I enjoyed and felt it in my country is a sport investment through sports and physical activity. in my country, the situation is that the budget which is allocated to medicine is much higher than which is allocated to physical activity and sport. And I think it is the same in many countries. And I think it is the duty of a sport management specialist to report the results such as what you presented to persons who have a charge or have responsibility in the government. And we could not find a solution for that, to report such a thing to persons who have responsibility in the government. Thank you again for your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you,
May I have Dr. G. Kishore, sir?
Sorry?
Dr. Kishore, sir? Naren? I know this is the meeting. I just get in, but before I'd like to tell the participants.
Sir is, ma'am, excuse me, sir is there on board.
Dr. Kishore, sir?
Yeah, I'm here.
Kishore, sir, Pedro, we have Beatrice, Merlin, Maria.
Yeah.
And is our principal, Dr. G. Kishore, and also the regional director for the Southern Center. So please.
I would like to congratulate Mr. Pedro for an excellent presentation, and also all the panelists, distinguished panelists, for active discussions. And in fact, Dr. Pedro has touched a very relevant, one of the most important subject relating to our country, because we are a developing economy. We are poised to become, and now we are on the, I think, 5th in the economy in the world ratings, 5th or 6th, that we were likely to climb up ladder, but I think this COVID situation has, has impact, and we don't know. And the sports industry was, we were worth $3,621 million in 2017-18 statistics, and we were to climb $10 billion US dollars by 2024-25. And that means around it was around 1 to 5 of the GDP of the country, and I think this was further to increase. This has got utmost significance because we have 300 million youth population. So if you want to cater to the sporting requirement of 300 million youth of the school children, your economy should be in line with that. So I would like to, Mr. Pedro, if you would like to give us some practical suggestion how we can further boost the Indian economy with the sports industry and sports groups, because of our the nature, the very nature of having a largest population, second largest population, and having one of the largest youth population in the country. I would like to, how is Portugal placed? Also, we would like to know in terms of GDP through sports industry, and how much is being, diverted of the economy towards the PE sector, the physical education and community sector. If you could throw some light, it would be great.
Yeah. Pedro, could you understand?
Just a small sentence, because actually there's a framework at the European Union called the national accounts, satellite national accounts, STA. Satellite national accounts is the accounts that cannot be precise, but they are satellite. They are around that part. So these accounts are accountable for the National Institute of Statistics, and they have produced it just once in Portugal in 2016. Was the first national account produced. I was in the beginning of the process, but I'm not an employee of the National Institute. But I talk with them a lot, and we get to an amount of 1.5% of GDP. Meaning that we account for all the industries that sell how do you call, commodities or services to one each other. This is, and employment, job creations, how many jobs, how much of salaries were paid, and that's it. But of course we have a problem because these are national, they are not regionalized. They are not divided by sectors or micro sectors. And moreover, they are not in the cities. This is not the accounts of one city. There's accounts for the country. So whenever we do kind of impact study, we should do it from the beginning with micro studies and then make a kind of design, what you say, draw. We make a draw like that one that I show you with the strawberry feast. You can put the draw in the middle and then see what is going to happen in all those small balls and do the microfilms, okay, to get to the national picture. So depending on the approach that you intend to do, and moreover in India, which is a huge country with huge population, huge territory, it must be very difficult to do this for the whole country. But you can approach it for big cities, is this, small cities is that. And try to combine those things and see what happens. Like the question that Mariam told about Iran, okay? Because how do we combine those things if national authorities are not in the ground to work with this? This is one problem for the economy. So if the government wants to do things, they want to care about those things. If they don't like or they don't want, they don't think sport is very important, sport industry, they don't care. So I must tell you that when I started studying sports, it was in, I told you, 2010, 29. And at the time, there was a Secretary of State of Sports that belongs to the Education Ministry. Nowadays, 10 years after, they are still speaking of creating a Ministry of Sports because they understood the major importance of the sport industry for the future. And they understood it. Why? It was not only because of my study or our kind of studies, but was lots of studies and Cristiano Ronaldo. That finally they say, wow, this guy is selling so much, he's so rich, he makes money wherever, and he comes back with the money and invests in the country. And this is a huge impact on the country, on the economy of Madeira Island, because he is native from Madeira Island, and he's investing there all his fortune, most of all. So they know sports is important. And in the future, if you have in billions of Indians, if you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 big fixtures, big pictures in the sport industry, this is going to explode close to the government, and they will want to do this kind of studies. I think so. And you have lots of good economists in the country. So I don't know if they are caring about sports industry, but for economics, you are known, very well known at the international level as good economists and good sports scientists. I will be very happy if I can belong to a group like that. So if you are going to do something, Dr. Kishore, in your university or your ministry, if you are going to do something of that, I will be delighted to help or to belong to that kind of group, because alone, nobody goes.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Pedro. I think I will really, your words of wisdom has immense, benefit to us, and I will definitely, your offer we will take into consideration, and I will put it and revert to you as an after consulting the concerned people. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Dr. Usha,
Yeah. Yes, sure.
can I say
Sure.
one thing?
Sure.
Sure, sorry.
You could
We
speak.
have a new, so we say ooh, but sure. Okay. For Mariam, while she's here, and for everyone, it was a Portuguese coach called Carlos Queiroz that coached the football team of Iran for the first time. And he bring the Iran team to the World Championship.
Oh, that's great.
And Mariam could confirm that he fought and he fight every day against the fact that the government didn't allow women to attend to the games. And he fight against that with the government and say, look, if you allow women's families to come to the game, they will shout more for the team, and the team will go further and will win and will have more exit. And it started to allow that at the time, and women start to attend to the football games, which was not before. So this is the importance, in this case, sociological and political asset that sport has, if there's a good coach above it. So that's why I bring this theme to the coaches, because lots of things depend on the coach, not on the government, not on the athlete, not on the club, but the coach. The coach can change many things if he's aware and if he has the frameworks and the instruments to do it. So I think this is a good challenge for your course or your webinars, and that's why I like very much to be here and to present some of the things that I presented.
Yeah.
Now it's okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Naren, would you like to say something? Most distinguished guest speaker, Pedro, it was so informative because I know you only come out with what's to be implemented through research, which I think India is yet to learn. Any action or any course of action to be implemented is purely based on research, which you have proved it. I know you're still a researcher, and statistics show it. You said in terms of exercise as medicine, a doctor getting in a physical education course and making exercise as part of the vital aspect. And as you said, from Portuguese, how you have a coach coming in. I think your talk was so inspiring, eye-opener, lessons to be learned for us, where we think we could take small steps, whereby we could also, I don't say come at that level, to start with. And I'm sure you have helped us. You'd open the doors for us to step in for the first step. So on behalf of the Sports Authority of India, sorry, for the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports, Government of India, Khelo India, Sports Authority of India, Lakshmi Bai National College of Physical Education. You can see a horse with the,
Yeah?
yeah,
I
this
saw
is,
the horse.
it's not just the horse, you have the heroine or the warrior. That's why our
Okay.
college is named after Rani, the Queen of Jhansi. And yes, on behalf of our principal, Dr. G. Kishore, I'd like to thank Professor Pedro for it was a commendable session. It was a wonderful session, inspiring session. Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Pedro, for this session. I'd like to thank Beatrix. Thank you so much for coming as a panelist, because Rosa told me not to worry. Pedro has a session, so I have. So thank you so much. Most of you have spared your valuable time to be with us. Thank you. I'd like to thank Mariam. I know you came for a trial. You all are going to be there to hear you tomorrow. Thank you so much. I'd like to thank Merlin. Thank you, Merlin. Thank you again for your remarks and views. I'd like to thank Dr. G. Kishore sir for his valuable presence. I'd like to thank all the invited and my dear friends, and I'm sure all the participants have benefited. The very purpose of this program was to give an international exposure, and you have made this possible. Pedro and all of you have given our participants an international exposure. Now we find the world so small, and definitely we look forward for further cooperation and assistance for your support in this venture. So once again, I'd like to thank also Dr. Narendra Gangwar for being the co-host. Thank you, Narendra.
Thank you.
And I'd like to thank each one for your valuable presence and progressing the section. Thank you and namaste.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you so much, everyone. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Please,
Pedro.
if you want to contact me, you can share my mail,
Sure.
because now I'm not teaching anymore. I just research. I'm at home, I'm retired, and do research, nothing else.
I'll definitely share your mail
So
with
I'm
the
available.
participants. Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll definitely do that. Your mail ID is with me. I'll definitely share it. So
Okay.
thank you so much. And this is a way of namaste.
It will be a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I still answer these questions that are here?
I think it's we could send it and we could do it later by mail, because the participants might have to leave.
Okay, send me to.
I'll send you these questions. We'll send it to you,
Yeah,
and you can reply us by mail.
I'll be delighted to answer them.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Bye bye.